Hey there, Eli here with a video on killing the cave troll in normal goblin caves with every class at level 1. Now, because most of my characters are actually level 10 or 15 plus, what I've done here is only allowed them to have one damage related perk, the exception being the wizard. This is because the wizard gets 2 cast speed related perks, and having both of those gives us a little bit more leeway and wiggle room for our positioning. The strategy for manipulating the cave troll is the same for every class. The only thing that really changes is what each class can do when the cave troll does his giant slam. Each class is going to have 2 different sections for each weapon choice that I decide to use. While each class is done using the very starting gear that they get, for some, I pick common weapons that they use alternatively in order to show that it can be done just as easily. For some classes, I'll start by talking through the cave troll fight itself. Others, I'll be starting after the cave troll fight is finished and talking about what the class excels at in terms of escaping. It depends on the class and whether I feel there's a need to explain any special notes about the fight itself. If you're new to the cave troll fight, what I'm doing is staying within his melee range to trigger his single overhead slam, the one where we have to back up, his mini slam where we just strafe to the side and get a free headshot and possible arm shot follow-up, or his low sweep, high sweep, mini slam 3-hit combo. Remember that with his 3-hit combo, you have to assume that he's going to do the next part every single time. If he does the second hit of the combo, the overhead, you also must assume that he's going into the third hit. Pay attention to his movement and get a feel for it. One last note about the fight. Keep in mind that some classes like the Bard and Wizard have actions to take in addition to backing away from the big slam. This can put you at a long enough range when you're running back to him that it triggers the shout, so you'll have to be aware of that and be prepared to keep running right next to him to avoid the shout debuff. If you avoid the shout debuff, he doesn't do the 50-50 attack. And with that, let's get started with the first class, Warlock. Alright, so as the Warlock, our number 1 talent choice that we're going to have at level 1 is probably going to be Torture Mastery. As you can see here, I have them all listed because they're fairly inconsequential in regards to the troll fight itself. But what we're going to do, like with any class, is we're going to make sure we're aware of our surroundings and be listening, make sure no one's joined us in the room, and we're going to go down into the throne room and get what is usually here, which is a cape. It's not super uncommon for a cape to be here on the floor, so make sure we grab that. Check the surrounding area for a necklace. That's also not super uncommon. While we're down here, we're going to be watching the circle and paying attention to the audio cues to make sure no one else wants to join us. Now with the Warlock, if you watch the fight, you'll see that we have opportunities to drain life in the event that we took some damage getting down here, which is pretty useful. So we should end the fight with full health. And what I like to do is, generally speaking, I'll go through the south exit. Even if I go into the red, I go all the way up and go towards the secret extract, or the optional extract, over here. And we'll take care of any spiders that may be following us, take care of any skeletons that might still be here. That's also a good sign, make note of that. If the 2 skeletons in this interim room right here are still alive, that means no one's passed through here. And as we arrive, we see someone has been camping a portal. It is a ranger, so we're going to want to keep our eyes peeled a little bit for traps on the ground. And if we had time here and this area was cleared up here with the health shrine and the goblin mage, we would want to think about going down and killing the centipede, as it's pretty easy. But this is a good area to be because escape portals will spawn here and the secret extract is here to get out. So this whole area up here on the top floor is a pretty solid place to be. Remember, as a Warlock, you do have access to Hellfire, which is an excellent zoning tool if there is someone that you need to push back in order to help you reach this area and wall it off, essentially, with Hellfires. Now stay tuned for the entire cave troll fight with the starting staff, as well as a gray Falchion. Alright, so with the Cleric, we have two options as far as I see it. Either Blunt Mastery for a little bit of extra damage, or Protection from Evil. In my experience, the Goblin Caves has a lot of rogues. The game has a fair number of rogues. Protection from Evil shuts down rogue poisons and ruptures by causing all harmful effects to have a 50% reduced duration. I'd recommend taking Protection from Evil to help protect you against an entire class. While there are other classes that have negative effects that it will protect you from, rogues are maybe the most potent among them that you'll find in the Goblin Caves that will prevent you from extracting. So we're going to loot the throne room, we're going to be paying attention as always and listening. We do see and hear someone come down, so we're going to get ready, throw on our protection. Don't be scared to walk into the red. People actually get afraid of being in the red for some reason. And it can give you a little bit of time here. I've gotten 3 hits on this guy, so I know that he's hurting. I bait out that I'm going to cast a spell, and I get up here so I can get some more free hits. Remember, this game is very similar to a fighting game, and if you can bait out attacks by throwing little jabs out and making them respond, this can often work to your advantage. Speaking of advantages, one of the big ones that we have as a cleric is we can heal ourselves and cast protection. So me sitting in the red like this, I'm not terribly worried about it. Another thing to point out is clarity potions are pretty common in the throne room, so feel free to drink those as you're leaving here. Oh, and look at this. We got a rogue just waiting for us. We are out of heals, but we do have protection. Yeah, I don't know what I cast protection on exactly, but I clearly missed. I cast it on something. Probably should have won that fight had I actually landed protection on myself like I thought I had. But in the end, just because I lost on this round doesn't really change the philosophy at play. Clerics are still very strong. We have access to heals. We have access to protections. We almost got out on base gear, killing a cleric and a rogue, where the cleric was known to be better geared than us. Final note on the cleric, a lot of people will take judgment in order to get that single target nuke and slow. If I'm going in to kill the cave troll, and that's my goal, smite is the better option for higher DPS output. But if you wanted to take judgment, you could also take in divine strike to buff your weapon when the troll does his giant slams. Okay, the Bard. The Bard is, at the moment of patch 7 in early access, far and away the best solo troll class in the game. The reason for this is because even naked, with his 4 buffs, he is very strong, and on top of that, he also gets to debuff the armor rating of the troll, which no other class gets to do. So what you're going to do immediately after killing the troll is you're going to reapply your 4 buffs, so that if someone does come down, you are ready to kill them. Now, after rebuffing, we're going to go down into the throne room, and we hear someone walking around, which means they're close enough to here. So we're going to try to loot as much as possible. And if you watched the Cleric portion of the video, you'll remember I said Clarity potions are pretty common down here. Invisibility potions are also pretty common. So I'm going to pop an Invis potion, and it turns out that we did it just in time so that our outline had faded, and he doesn't know that we're here. So we're going to sit and we're going to watch him. This guy is a pretty geared out fighter here, and so I'd rather not fight him if I don't have to, because chances are he's going to beat me as a naked bard. And so we're going to wait, and we're going to wait until the Invis pot wears out. And as soon as it does, we are going to book it. Run, 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 run. I don't want to fight. He's armored up, which means he is slower. And on top of that, I have a movement speed buff. In truth, we have 2 move speed buffs with Accelerando, but just the one will suffice. So we get out. We're on high alert. We know that this fighter is around. And we also know that he can't catch us. We don't want to fight. He can't make us fight. And so I'm going to lead him on a wild goose chase here. And we're actually going to go back to the scene of the crime, and we'll hide in the troll room. We're going to fast forward through this a little bit here because I'm just listening to him up top. And we're going to go back down and check for any loot that wasn't taken, as is our way. This whole video is presuming you're level 1 and or broke, and so we're trying to gather as much value out of each run as we can. And on our way up, we do hear a portal being taken. That's the sound of a portal being taken. If you aren't aware of that, audio cues in this game are very informative as to what's going on around you. And so we're going to go back up here, and we're going to want to make sure that when we're one of the last ones alive, or the last one alive, we want to be on the top floors, as that's most commonly where the escape portals are going to spawn. And if they don't, and they're on another floor, you have better access to them going down, oftentimes than you do going up. And so we're just going to take care of some PvE. As a bard, we are the most powerful class as a naked or when geared against PvE, because we can buff ourselves and debuff them, like I said earlier. We also, of course, have access to the song that opens chests for us, which also helps us identify the fact that if a chest doesn't open with this song, it is a mimic. And so lastly, a note on the perks for Bard. I would recommend, in terms of general survivability, you want to start with Charismatic Performer. This allows you to get the perfect version of the song on a good performance, meaning we can skip a certain number of notes of each song and still play it perfectly, quote unquote, to get the maximum buff or debuff. Second on that list, at level 5, I would get Wanderer's Luck. This perk, on top of the buffs and debuffs, is the sole reason why Bard is the best troll farmer in the game, because every time you go down and find that Lion's Head chest, you get 100 luck. And I won't go into the math behind it, but you can get a maximum of 250 luck, 150 from rolling a luck potion, using a luck potion, and you get 100 from this perk. No other class, as of patch number 7 in early access, has access to sources of luck besides the luck potion. So overall with the Bard, your loot is better, and you're stronger and tankier against other common threats. Time for everyone's favorite class, the Rogue. The perk for this one is pretty easy. Poisoned Weapons is the obvious choice to take, as we're hitting the troll a lot, so our poison uptime is going to be very high, and so if you are level 1 and have no weapons, have no nothing else, this is a good way to increase our DPS over time on this fight. If you're focusing on farming the troll, level 5 perk, I'd recommend take lockpicking so you can unlock the Lion's Head chest that's down here as well. And as I typically like to do, I'm going to take the southern exit here and go up and check the secret extract. Essentially, as the rogue, we're sort of hoping that we get a better weapon off of the troll, or some armor piece that adds some physical damage so we can kill threats better on the way out. But in truth, we really want to not be seen at all if possible. As you can see here, I noticed that someone's just breaking barrels, which means they are not afraid of making noise and drawing attention to themselves, potentially, or they're just someone who likes to break stuff and loot, which is also possible, but I tend to err on the side of caution. If someone's breaking stuff, I assume they know it's loud and they don't mind. And because we're not looking for a fight, I'm just going to hang out and we're going to hide and we're going to wait. And we'll fast forward through this. We see here while we're hidden that they pass us by, and so we're going to let them do that. Because our goal is to try to get to the secret extract, as it's generally speaking a fairly good place to check. By the time we've killed the troll, it's possible that it's already open and ready for us. Problematically, it is in the red, and as we round the bend, we find it is not open. That is unfortunate. I do hear some noise off to the right, and I see our player friend. In truth, I probably should double back here and go to the opposite end and find another extract portal that maybe is on the other side of the map there. I could have ended up on the southern side of the circle. Instead, I decide to push my luck and walk into a ranger shot, which is going to kill me. So, learn from my mistake. If you're concerned about coming across a player, try to keep some distance if you have the option to. Anyway, that's Rogue, and here's the full fight. So my sample run on the ranger was interesting because as we killed the troll, we had a friend. We had a ranger friend with us. And so you'll see I immediately set down a trap, which leads me directly into which perk I would take at level 1, which is trap speed, as the way you protect yourself and often kill people as the ranger is to use traps. You should take note that the woodsman also carries traps in his shop. He carries 5 of them before he restocks, and he restocks them with a fair frequency. So buy those up and bring 4 traps, 5 traps into raids with you. Now, this is a very unusual case because this ranger for whatever reason, decided not to attack us and not to interfere in the first place, which is somewhat uncommon. Maybe he was pleased to see that we were a ranger too. I don't really know what their motivation was, but either way, they left us alone, and so we're going to take advantage. We're going to go down, we're going to loot, and I'm going to pop back up real quick just to make sure no one's trying to sneak in here. We'll go back and we'll finish looting here. Lion's Head chest isn't always locked, and so be sure to check that. And we can discard the doublet by using shift right click. And we are in the red a little bit, so we'll hop back up here. And if you've watched any of the other sections of this video, you'll know that I like to take the south exit. And here you'll see my trap that I laid down to catch people trying to help me, quote unquote, on the other side here. That's one of the benefits of the Ranger, is you can trap both doors if you want to. The trap itself makes a fairly distinct noise, and so you get a little bit of warning ahead of time, and if you leave the doors open, you can potentially, if you're really comfortable with the cave troll fight, also kill the person that's trapped while avoiding the attacks. And we're going to make our way towards the secret extract here, of course. You know, we see a body, so we'll just take a little peek, see what they have. And I can hear the goblins on the other side of the door, meaning they're still there, meaning no one probably is in this area, at least not immediately. And oh, look at that. We actually have a portal ready and waiting for us. So we're going to clear out this last goblin here, and I'm going to go over and secure my exit. And we're just going to hop out. And I guess good thing too, because there was a rather geared fighter ready and willing, most likely, to forcibly remove the items from our inventory. That is the thoughts on the Ranger, and here's the full fight. The Barbarian is a little bit strange because we want to use the alternate attack as our primary form of damage against him. The key to surviving the troll fight is mobility and being able to damage him while not being too close. So while he's doing his low sweep into his possible wide swing that we can stand and walk away from, into possible overhead slam, we want to be using the alternate attack to try to hit his back if we can, because body shots deal normal damage. But if we are in a position where we have to hit his arm, that's fine too. The key to killing the troll isn't necessarily about optimizing all damage all the time. It's about getting damage on him every time he swings at us. Because of this, we only want to use our left click normal attack on this weapon when he does his walking lunging attack, where we have to stare down on the floor and crouch, and we need to start that attack before we look up, so while he's still swinging overhead. I also use it when he does his one-hand overhead slam, because he dips his head forward. You really want to pay attention to the timing and kind of how I position myself so that the weapon lands on his head. Far and away, the most important thing is that we are just dealing damage to him every time he attacks. Another thing to remember is to use your skills as the barb, because we get our shout, we get Achilles strike. Both of these are pretty low cooldowns and they're both extra DPS. So we just want to use them essentially every time they're off cooldown and we can get a hit with them. We're not trying to maximize damage with our strength shout. We're just trying to get hits on him. That's all it is. The key to surviving the troll is to not be greedy. So now that we've successfully beaten the fight, the Barb is like a lot of classes in that he's not great for looting the room because he can't loot any locked chests unless we bring in a lockpick, which is really just not going to happen. The nice thing about it is that any strength item that we get is pretty helpful on him, and if we happen to get a weapon he can use off the troll, we are in quite the strong spot to one-shot our competition. And as we can see here, 5 people have died as we make our way up to the south exit. And we're coming across a space where someone has turned off the lights. So we're going to be careful. We want to light this area up, even if it's not perfectly lit. Anything to help us see, because if someone's here, they are waiting for us and we don't want them to have any advantages. The nice thing about Barb is that we want people in close range, so if there's a rogue waiting for us, so long as he's not geared, we can use our alternate attack to likely chop him down. Sort of like the troll fight with other players, remember that they're especially averse to getting headshot from a barbarian, and they're probably going to be trying to evade your top-down swing, so use the alternate attack with this weapon to just hit them. It's more about trading blows if you have to with someone, as most likely you can outtrade them. We meet a supposed friend along the way. Notice I am being very careful with both of these. They must see that I have a cape on my back, and so I need to be careful and cautious and make sure I keep myself in a decent position, ideally watching them. Our third there, who was geared, took the secret extract. So you notice I'm keeping my eyes on this guy. I'm not letting him stay behind me. And I am going to let him wander off. Now I see this guy is a little bit more antagonistic. Not sure why he threw a torch at me. And he has his sprint on, so I'm going to try to zone him out a little bit, not allow him to have that movement speed buff. I'll do a little dance here, just kind of wasting time, just kind of trying to get a sense. He obviously wants to parry me. Maybe he's practicing parrying, maybe he thinks that's his only way to win here, which is not incorrect, I would say. And his sprint should be back up. Yep, there it is. So we're just going to let him use that up, bait out his attacks. And his sprint is off. And use the alternate attack, and don't let him parry. So that's pretty straightforward there. He actually has a Horseman's Axe for us, and an escape portal. And now I do have a couple other Barbarian fights that I'm going to have play out here. I'm not going to talk about them. I think they're a little bit more self-explanatory than the base kit Barbarian, but they're there if you'd like to watch them. One of the fights is with the Horseman's Axe, and one is with the Double Axe. So the wizard is a little bit unique in that I recommend being level 5 to take on the cave troll. This is so that we can get quick chant and sage. Sage is important so we can run 2 spell books. And in my opinion, as of patch 7, these are the spells that I would take in my books. In the run I'm going to show you here, which is on patch 7, I do bring Zap in, but after doing it a few times, I think Ice Bolt is the better choice. Although we do get Zap back pretty fast, we also get Ice Bolt back pretty fast, and the fact that we can headshot with it is great, and I think it might be a little bit more useful in general PvE and PvP. This is of course subjective and my opinion. I'm not claiming that this is objectively true or anything like that, so take it for what it is. Fireball and Lightning Strike are for when he does his big overhead slam and we have to back away. This is when we can continue to deal damage here, unlike most other classes. Then we'll use Ice Bolt because we can get headshots with it in close range, and we'll bring Ignite for the rest of our damage. We are going to run out of all of our damaging spells by the end of this fight. And while there are a bunch of different spells you could bring, I choose to take Slow and Light Orb instead of Zap so that I can find rogues if they're hiding and waiting for me. And so I can slow anyone down and use Haste and Invis to get away and find a safe spot to recoup spells if I need them or to get out. Wizard is far and away, as of patch 7 in Early Access, the weakest class at the end of this fight. As for the fight itself, we use a lot of the same fundamentals in terms of when we damage the troll, but instead of always using melee attacks, sometimes we use spells. So up close we'll be making use of our Ice Bolt and getting those 5 headshots where we can, and we're getting normal headshots and body shots with the staff, and whenever he does his big overhead slam, that's when we turn sideways, walk away for maybe half a second, do a jump, and start charging Fireball or Lightning Strike. You'll notice in this fight I make some positioning mistakes in that I get hit by the smaller AoE slam a couple times. You don't need to do this, I was just making errors. A lot of it is pretty self-explanatory in terms of when you damage him and when you can't. It's all very similar to the other classes, it's just that, we're not doing as much damage with our staff because of our negative physical power bonus. Another complication of the fight as a wizard is you are moving spells around, so you want to have a good mental idea of where your spells are that you're going to use so that you can swap to them preemptively or while you're moving. It can be a little tricky. Another thing to watch out for during this fight is because we're casting spells and generally positioning ourselves a little bit further out oftentimes while we are casting, you have to be ready for him to do shouts and to run past him at his side when he does them. You have to be aware and ready for him to do this attack, because if he hits you with his shout, he will slow you, and you are forced, as a wizard at least, to either cast invisibility and completely reset the fight, which bricks your chance to do it that run, or take the 50-50. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you don't, but this is a move that, if we are positioned properly and paying attention, we will never get hit by. As you can see through the fight, I reapply Ignite when he's doing his first hit of his potential 3-hit combo. This is a pretty safe spot to do it. Ideally, you want to do it while he is swinging at you and not after the attack animation has gone through, because if you do, you put yourself in greater risk of being in range of his mini slam. The mini slam being the 3rd hit of his 3-hit combo. And just like every other class, we're trying to stay within his melee range while also being on the edge of being struck so that we can take advantage and get pot shots on his arms, on his back, whenever we can. Yeah, we do get a green shield, so we'll pick that up. And we are about to see why in the beginning of this section I said to bring Illusory Orb, or Light Orb as it's called, because we do have a rogue friend waiting for us. He deletes us pretty quick. So in my opinion, take Light Orb, throw Light Orbs out as you are leaving the pit to catch rogues that might be waiting for you. So we killed a troll, and the big thing that I deliberated when I was making the fighter is choosing which perk to take, because he does have a lot of good ones, but for this scenario, I think taking Weapon Master is the best choice. We want to be able to make use of any blue or purple weapon that he drops, and so Weapon Master is the clear winner for me. Our sprint skill helps us get down to the fight, helps us get away from the fight if we need to. We have a lot of advantages. We have a strong heal. So I'm going to exit out the southern exit again, drink a pot, check around for a rogue. The spiders at the top of the stairs here haven't been killed, so that's a good sign that we're pretty alone in this section. I decide to leave the pot up so that anyone coming by gets a little bit of harass, as my goal with this video is to just get out. And we have a ranger who wants to play, and now I'm closing distance and using sprint to surprise him. And while he would have lost if he turned around and fought, he should have known as well that he had no other choice but to fight. And that's the escape, and here's the fight with the cave troll itself.